On here today, we got the Mark Poloncarz debate and Dwayne Whitmer running on the party of the Libertarians. So let's get inside. See how this goes. Yeah. I'm Dan.
Dan, hi, I'm Deborah. What media are you?
AEC.
What's that?
What is it?
Yeah.
This is a private media company.
Okay. So you're not looking at character?
No, I'm not here specifically, stumping for a specific candidate. No.
Okay.
Just disseminating what's said today. That's all. See what these candidates have to say, of course.
Great.
Oh, Granny, we take a hike.
I still call yeah, so I told
What's up, fam? Everybody hit that thumbs up on the way in. We got the Mark Poloncarz debate here today. Let's see if we walk around the room here. See what we got going on.
How you doing today?
Good. Are you from the
No, I'm with a news station. It's online based. It's called Redress Now News.
Redress Now?
Yeah.
Do you have a card or anything?
You know what? I have. It's a card you can tap on your phone. It's a dot card. It'll help you bring it up.
I don't know. Something new every day. Like the QR code.
Check out it's got a QR code. Actually, no. It's the right card. I think this might be for my account. if you go on YouTube and you just type in redress now, it'll bring up the channel. You'll see it.
If we just like any news media to register with us, you know, just so.
I can give you my email. If you want to shoot me an email, I can send you the link. So you can see it right there, yeah. Yeah, so it's, look, let me know. So it's SFELANO. That's at WTD Corp, like corporation.com. Shoot me a note and I'll respond back to it. That's it, yep.
Do we have just little pieces of paper and let them draw? 1, 2.
You got higher viewership than channel.
Okay, I sent it. Let me just respond to it.
Send me an email. I'll respond back to you.
Hello, Miss Rost.
What's that?
Only 50 cents. Let's see.
Very cheap. It's $1 up there, right?
I got about more people than this whole place got. I got 103 people with me. I'm 104.
I'm sorry, you also with the media?
Yeah.
And do you have a card?
I do in the car.
Because I really need media to check in with us because here when we do our states about videotaping, any media, of course, is videotaping.
Why?
So that they don't just pick and choose what they want to show.
Well, everybody's the media.
Well,
Or the First Amendment, right? Everybody's the media in the First Amendment, right? I don't necessarily sign in. I don't do a sign in.
sign in with me.
No. Well, I mean, I sign in as, you can put it down as 80.
You have email address or anything? I just sent him an email asking to please forward his credentials as media.
So my credentials is the United States Constitution.
I totally agree with you.
All right.
But we do have a little policy that says that we can't let just anybody videotape the campus.
Yeah, anybody.
And show it online after this.
I don't see why not. It's a public event, right? Public is welcome here.
Yes. Hold on, let me go see exactly what it says. Oh, there.
This lady here is telling us we can't be the press unless we have credentials.
Very young couple or very old?
Mr. Poloncarz right here.
I'm glad you did receive it. Congratulations.
How are you?
How you doing, Mark?
All right.
Sorry.
They're trying to tell me I gotta sign in and show media credentials here, guys. They got a policy. Uh-oh. Not the policy police. Not the policy police. Did you sign in as redress now, or?
I told her who I was, and I said, give me my email address, I'll email you the link.
I told her I don't sign in. Decline to sign in. They said they can't have anybody just taking this and putting it out on the internet, guys.
Will the two candidates for county executive come forward to draw for place positions?
With a real Slim Shady, please stand up.
Get him, Dwayne!
Yeah, that's great.
Just shout it to them.
One, all right. Will the two candidates for county legislature come forward? And the four candidates for town board.
Shows up in the.
Bill and Ray. All right, and tell me the one. You're one. And two. Sure. And Bill.
How is that picture at home, guys? Clear? It's like it's open to the public, right? Yeah, anytime you can get it.
Can't have that.
Lori Robinson, who is the president of Buffalo Niagara League of Women Voters, will greet you. Lori?
Okay, good evening, everybody. We're so glad you all came out for this very important event. As Judy just said, I'm Lori of the League of Women Voters of Buffalo Niagara, and we're very grateful for you to help you with this tonight. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization that encourages informed and active participation of citizens in government. The League's work to influence public policy through education and advocacy. Moderating this the candidate forms is only one of our many functions, and membership is open to everybody. We are not for women only. I believe the W in LWV stands for wise voters. So you can learn more about our league at our website. It's just lwvbn.org, and we have some information in the back. And we also have some voter registration forms in case anybody isn't registered yet. So I would like to introduce our volunteers working with us tonight. We have Joanne Walsh is our timekeeper. She's got some paddles, so be careful. And Ellen Muma is screening the questions, and Ellen Newmeyer is doing the videotaping tonight. And our moderator is Judy Wiedemann. And so I'm going to let Judy take over, and thank you all for coming. And
Good, thank you, Lori. Well, the League of Women Voters, a nonpartisan organization, and we work very hard at remaining that way. So, we have ground rules for our candidate forum, and I will read them to you. The League of Women Voters of Buffalo Niagara will not permit substitutes for candidates at debates or forums conducted by the League. That's not been an issue here. A candidate must be present at a forum conducted by the League to present his or her statement and distribute campaign literature. And there is a place outside the door for campaign literature. If a candidate cannot attend the debate forum, he or she may submit a brief statement that explains his or her absence to be read by me. That didn't happen either. Presentation should be strictly confined to issues, not personalities. The candidates drew numbers this evening to determine the order for opening statements. The closing statements will be in the reverse of those opening statements. The candidate forum will conclude approximately at 9 p.m. We welcome the following candidates who will be happy to talk with you during the second half of the evening, but whose opponent failed to respond. But we have no instances of that, so we don't need to deal with that. We will make the only authorized recording of this event, and Ellen Newmeyer is manning that equipment. It will be posted in its entirety on the League's YouTube shortly after the event. Only licensed media, and I think the gentleman who was by the door is a licensed media person. He is in the back now, and you are duly licensed, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. All right. This is in keeping with the Federal Communications Commission's regulations. All others who do the recording may do so only in its entirety. No one is permitted to public display edited footage, comments by opponents, or paraphrase quotes in any manner. Now, we request that audience members turn off their cell phones at this time and keep them turned off throughout the event. We expect, of course, that the audience will be attentive and civil and make no responses to what the candidates say, what you agree or disagree with their views. We also request that you refrain from applause until the whole forum is completed, we seek to provide all candidates with the greatest amount of time to respond to audience questions. That's why we ask you to wait until the end for your audience, for a response to candidate remarks. Our timekeeper, Joanne Walls, will raise a green paddle, and you may show it, when the speaker has 1 minute left. A yellow paddle when there are 20 seconds left, and a red stop paddle when the time has elapsed. The candidates are expected to stop when completing the sentence being spoken at that time. Now, each candidate shall have 2 minutes for an opening statement. In this part of the forum, biographical sketches and a platform outline are usually presented. And we will start with the 2 candidates for County Executive, Mark Poloncarz, who drew number 1, and Dwayne Whitmer, who drew number 2 in our drawing. Mr. Poloncarz?
Thank you, Judy. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. I want to thank the League of Women Voters for holding this forum. It is an important forum. When I started running, there were many League of Women voter forums across Erie County, and there's very few now, but one that has continued is here in East Aurora. So thank you and congratulations for doing that. I'm Mark Poloncarz. I am the current county executive. I'm running for 1 more term to continue the work that we've done to create the best Erie County possible. Let me remind you where we were when I was elected to my first term. The unemployment rate was 8.9%. People were still leaving this community because they couldn't get a job. Our county government was coming off of one of the worst financial crises it had seen just a few years before with the Red Green fiscal crisis. And at that point, with the predecessor, they were cutting libraries, cutting parks, and in some ways, our county government was in disarray. I ran to return county government back to its true owners, the people of this community. Because I understand and believe that government can be a force of good when it's done properly. And that's what we've done during my administration. We've focused on economic development to create the strongest economy that this community has seen in decades. In fact, the unemployment rate, as I said, when I took office was 8.9%, and now it's 3.8%. We've seen thousands of new jobs created. We've seen companies come to our area. And at the same time, we've been able to invest back into our community to ensure a stronger community for all, while reducing the tax rate to the lowest rate it has ever been. I'm asking for 1 more term so that I can continue to work and complete it of creating the best Erie County possible, a county that works for all of its residents. At this time of great revival, we often see and say that all boats rise with the tide. We still have a few boats out there that need help, and we're going to continue to work to ensure that all boats truly rise with the tide, and that's why I ask your support for 1 more term. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Poloncarz. Mr. Whitmer?
Hello, everyone. My name is Dwayne Whitmer. Thank you guys for coming. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for inviting me. Often third-party minority candidates are excluded from stuff like this, so I'm glad to be here. I'm 35 years old. In 2014, I started an accounting firm in which I combated the rogue agency that is the IRS, fighting for my clients' tax dollars. I'm running for this position to combat the rogue agency that is Erie County government that pilfers 1.7 billion of your tax dollars to pad the pockets of the wealthy, giving the Pagulas $500 million stolen from the Senecas, that takes COVID relief funds and gives it to companies that don't exist, that takes money from you guys. A record numbers of homes in foreclosure at last year's tax auction. I was there, I saw over 1,000 homes up for auction. Meanwhile, Terry Pagula gets a bigger yacht. Some people in this room can't afford to pay their bills, can't afford groceries, but the corporate elites, the wealthy, and the political class never miss a paycheck. Your tax bills were due yesterday. A lot of people in this room struggle to pay them. Once again, politicians and their connected people never missed a paycheck. That's expensive to you guys. New York State is one of the least business-friendly states in the nation, one of the highest tax states in the nation, one of the worst places to do business. I know, I work with small businesses every single day and see them leaving. I have clients that overdosed during COVID because they lost all hope, killed themselves during COVID because they were shut down, forced to stay home, told that they were killing them. They were killing their grandmas if they left their business open. Yet 15,000 people died in a nursing home because of Andrew Cuomo, and not one single person had the gall to investigate it. Every single day, the criminal enterprise that is New York State and Erie County government is taking from you guys. And it's time we stop relying on a central bureaucracy to take care of us and hold them accountable for the crimes they commit. And that's what my goal here is to do today. Thank you guys.
Now, I think it's appropriate to begin this with not a question, but a request. There is a real need to bring civility and even cordiality back to politics. Will each of you say one nice thing about your opponent? Remember, we said in the initial directions, nothing derogatory should be said. So we will start with you, Mr. Poloncarz.
Well, I want to thank Dwayne for being here. We talked beforehand, and it's very important that we have a discussion, and there's another candidate for county executive who's not here. Otherwise, you would not hear from either of us. I just want to thank him for being here because it shows he cares about the process, he cares about it. We may disagree on policy, but he was willing to come before you so that your questions could be answered and we could have a civil debate.
And Mr. Whitmer.
I have a lot of things to say because I represent a lot of angry people in this county. I had to get 1,500 signatures from Democrats, Republicans, non-voting, independents, blanks. And a lot of people are angry, and I will say, Mark, you coming here and having, the stones to listen to what people have to say, it does mean a lot. There are a lot of people that are upset, and I hope you do listen to what's being said and what I say and take some of it and take it back. If you win in November, whoever wins, I hope they learn something and use that in the next term. So I do appreciate that.
Next question. Rumor has it that there are plans to house displaced people at the seminary on Knox Road. What can you tell us about that, if indeed you know anything about it? What may be the effects on the school system? And how will the school system be compensated? Mr. Whitmer?
Like I said before, what the school system is going to do is raise school taxes and force the taxpayers to take the brunt of this increase. That's how it works. Government hires their friends and cronies and then raises your taxes and you pay for it. I'm actually going to take a pivot here when it talks about the migrants. One of my associates was able to interview a migrant staying in the Digits place. And what that person said is terrifying. What's going on in Digit Street is government-sponsored money laundering and human trafficking. These people are treated inhumanely. Whether you think they should be here or not, they're fed baby food and stale food. They're told if they talk to immigration attorneys or the media, they will be deported. This isn't a crisis about helping people, not helping people. Red-blue politics is aside. This is a crisis of government failure. Kathy Hochul in New York City sent them here knowing that we'd accept them with no plan in place. And now these people are living, breathing human beings who are being treated worse than prisoners. I would stop these people from coming in, not because I don't want them here, not because they shouldn't be here, because our government does not have a plan other than put them there, take some photo ops, talk about how great they are, and then leave them on their own. We have failed these people. I would tell them not to come here because we have no plan in place to take care of or support them. What's going on in Digits is atrocious, and I hope the video comes out and you guys can see truly what's going on. This is a massive, oh, my mic almost cut off, sorry. This is a massive failure on government property and government. And I would like to see charges pressed against the people who put them there. DocGo got shut down. It was a pilfer scheme they took from your tax dollars to give to a private company that the owner of the company isn't credentialed to do anything. It was a fraud scheme. People should go to jail for this. What's going on there is atrocious, and I hope that somebody please looks into it, whether it's the Erie County Sheriff, whether it's Poloncarz, somebody please. Thank you.
Thank you. First off, there is no plan or any information whatsoever with regards to moving asylum seekers or any homeless individuals to the seminary in East Aurora. I had seen that rumor somewhere online, but it's not true. We, of course, have an issue with regards to asylum seekers who have been brought to this community, and they're staying right now in a hotel in the town of Amherst and 2 hotels in the town of Cheektowaga, one of which is being closed, the Dingeon Street Hotel. I want to point out that no county tax dollars are going for the housing, the food, or any of those issues. It's all being paid for by New York City. On average, Erie County has over 2,000 immigrants, asylum seekers, and refugees that pass through our community on an annual basis. And most people never realize it because of the organizations that exist in our community which help these people move on with their life or assimilate into our community. It's one of the reasons why we've seen population increases in not only the city of Buffalo, but Erie County because of these new immigrants that are coming here. Right now, there's approximately 530 asylum seekers in total that have come here through the program that is administered by New York City and DocGo. I will agree with Dwayne, there are significant issues with the program with DocGo to the point where I called Eric Adams, the New York City mayor, and said, you cannot send any more folks here until we resolve these issues. And that is true. We've actually had a reduction in the number of individuals that are here presently compared to what was originally here. People have left and gone back to New York City because they can get under the job tables in New York City where they can't get them here in our region. Jericho Road and Journey's End Refugee Services are working and are contracted to assist these asylum seekers take the next step, including filing their asylum papers. That's been going on and will continue. And hopefully these individuals will eventually become new Americans who are productive members of our society, paying taxes into our community. Thanks.
Another immigration question. As of today, Eric Adams, Mayor of New York City, is giving the immigrants in New York City 60 days in their shelters and then wants to move throughout New York State with rental vouchers. What do you think of this plan and what would be your plan? Mr. Poloncarz?
Well, technically any individual who's homeless actually qualifies for rental vouchers, including our own citizens. Where we have a problem is the rental vouchers that are being offered by New York City are actually better because of the rates that New York City offers under a state rule than what are offered here in Erie County or Niagara County or Chautauqua to our own residents who may be homeless. I often say you see the commercials of when there's the Red Cross and there's a fire and they show someone who's homeless and they come there with the emergency blanket. It's the county that's then responsible for placing them in a safe location that evening and for the next few days until such time as they can go back to their home or move to a new one. So we have an obligation under the law to actually provide housing to homeless individuals in our community. And there is a shelter voucher that's available. Our problem, and the problem I have in the legislature, which unanimously agreed, is we do not think it's fair that New York City could say, we're going to give these shelter vouchers to anyone across and have them move across New York State and have that voucher be worth more than what we would actually be able to do for our own citizens. So right now there's been no movement, no shelter vouchers have been issued and no movement of individuals. And I know it's a significant concern. We have not so much a homeless issue in Erie County, we have a housing issue in Erie County where we do not have enough housing units to meet the demands of our community. And we cannot have more people coming here with rental vouchers from outside of our area, which will only exacerbate the issues that exist. So right now, myself and other county executives have been talking with New York City as well as New York State on this issue, because we do not think it's fair, and so does the state, that New York City can pay more in rental vouchers than what we could even do for our own citizens. It's just not fair.
Thank you. Mr. Whitmer?
Like I said earlier, government used them for a photo op, dropped them off with a rental voucher and said, you're on your own. Imagine, just imagine if you will, the government took us and put us in a country where we don't know the language, we don't know the customs, gave us a rental voucher. Politicians took their photo with us to show how generous they are, and then said, hey, good luck, you're on your own. That is a failed ideology, that is a failed plan. Personally, I think Eric Adams should put him in his house, but we know he's not going to do that. They cannot come here, guys, because federal law doesn't allow them to get jobs. Even if they wanted to better themselves. Currently, Kathy Hochul's fighting against federal law, not allowing these people to even work. What are they going to do? How do they better themselves? This is just embarrassing that we as a country can't come together and figure out how to help people that we brought here. It was a political stunt so politicians can take photos of these people and say, look, we're generous gods, we did it. But as soon as the cameras left, they left these people out to dry. And there is no plan in place. Simply put, we have no plan for them. We cannot take them. We cannot provide them anything they need. They are destined to fail if they come here. It's a sad realization that we have to realize, because these are, once again, real living human beings. And we have no system in place to help them succeed. And anything, the laws are stacked against them. This is an issue. So that's my stance, is we cannot let them come here. And it's not because I don't want them here, it's not because I don't want to help people, it's because there is no plan or system in place to even allow them to succeed. And that is terrifying. So thank you.
Tell us how compassion will inform your approach to immigration. Please use the word compassion, the person who submitted the question asks, and please use that word in your response.
I don't think the government does many things well. They tax you guys, they hire their friends, and they misappropriate funds. Well, and that's about it. When it comes to having compassion for these people, it's recognizing, once again, like I just said, once the cameras are off, they're still here. They're still living, they're still breathing. We can't use people as political ploys, get a photo op in front of the people we brought here, and then as soon as the media leaves, as soon as the cameras are off, dump them to find their own. We cannot do this. Again, I use the analogy. Imagine if we were sent to a country we don't speak the language, we get a rental voucher and told, you're on your own, chief, good luck. That is absolute insanity. And it starts with recognizing these people are people. And that's how I would approach this immigration reform, is by helping them if they want to come here, do it. Get a job, help the community. We're gonna violate some federal laws today because we're gonna make sure they can get jobs. I do not care. We gotta stop using these people as political pawns so we can get photo ops. And we gotta start letting them succeed on their own. And that's what I would do. Thank you.
Unless you are a descendant or a Native American, everyone came from somewhere else. And up until like 1920, there was free reign to come to the United States. There really were no rules. You just showed up and you were let in. As I said just in the previous question, on an average basis, there are 2,000 or more individuals who come into our community and are assisted by our community in various forms, and especially compassionately, by Jericho Road, Journeys End Refugee Services, the Immigration Institute, or the International Institute, Jewish Family Services, Catholic Charities. We have an incredible group of organizations that work day in and day out to assist these individuals become new Americans. I agree with Dwayne, there shouldn't be photo ops at hotels and things like that. I haven't done that. You're not gonna find a photo of me in front of a hotel with the asylum seekers, because that wouldn't be right. But we need to ensure that these individuals have an opportunity to succeed. One thing that has occurred is the Biden administration, from prodding from a lot of folks, including the governor, and for that matter, myself, has provided temporary protected status to the Venezuelans who are here, which make up approximately half of all the individuals in Erie County. That means they can immediately get working papers because they've been in the country long enough. And that's important because there's many jobs in our community that need to be filled, especially on the lower end of the wage spectrum, that we can't fill on our own. Dishwashers, porters, just things like that in hotels and restaurants. How many restaurants that were normally open 7 days a week are not open 7 days a week anymore because they don't have the staff? So we can assist these individuals from the various programs and agencies that we have become citizens of our community. And as a result of it, we can compassionately show that we care about it, but we also care about our community and making it grow. All you gotta do is go and see this as an experiment of what happened on the west side of Buffalo. West side of Buffalo was turned into something incredible because people cared about helping these new Americans.
Thank you. No clapping or applause. Now, time for closing statements, and it's Mr. Whitmer.
That's it? Immigration, that's it? What the fuck?
Thank you guys again for coming. I hope none of you are too offended. I'm a little out there with some of my views, mostly because my entire life, starting when I was in high school, where John McCain lied about weapons of mass destruction in Iraq and sent my friends to the Middle East to get blown apart, to spend 20 years and $1 billion to replace the Taliban with the Taliban. From that to politicians taking money for the Buffalo billion, and then, a handful of people go to jail, big rigging schemes, no big deal, to now the Bill Stadium, to COVID lockdowns, which are a massive transfer of wealth from the working class to the wealthy.
All right.
Years of politicians taking taxpayer dollars and giving to their friends while the rest of the county lags behind. I'm 35 years old, and my entire life I've been told by politicians, if I just vote harder, if I vote for them, they'll solve my problems. And none of my problems have been solved, and actually my problem list has gotten nothing but longer. In November, you have two choices. You can vote for the red and blue team and more of the status quo, or you can vote differently and send a message to politicians that you're disappointed and upset with how things have gone. I ran to be a different voice, to be a voice of the disenfranchised, a voice of the angry, a voice of the disappointed, a voice for those that, quite frankly, are not happy with how things are going. When I was in Cheektowaga petitioning, I had to get 1,500 ballot signatures in 6 weeks, and we did it. We're here, we're on the ballot. I got screamed at, not because they didn't like me, because people were so upset with how things are going. They've given up. They don't believe in the system. They don't believe in the politicians. They were so mad about what's going on. They wanted to voice their frustration with the whole thing. That's the majority of this country. So in November, you can vote for status quo, red team, blue team, and nothing will change. Or you can send a message that you're disappointed with how things are going. You can vote for me. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for being here. It truly says a lot. We know exactly what's happening in our country and the civility that does not exist anymore, unfortunately, in politics and in government, but I really appreciate you coming because it says that there are people who still care about having a civil society and working for a better community. I grew up in the city of Lackawanna at a time when Bethlehem Steel closed, and it was basically devastating for the entire community. For many decades, our community went on a downward spiral where everyone used to say that Buffalo and Erie counties were behind us. And we kept on looking for a silver bullet, the Lone Ranger, to come in on his horse and save us. And that was never happening. But what ended up happening is our community came together and said, we can be that silver bullet if we work together to create the best community possible. And that's exactly what's happened over the last 15 years. Buffalo became the story of what could happen when people who cared about a community came together and rallied behind it to create the best community possible. And I'm proud to have played a small role in making that happen as county executive. No one was going to come in and save us, but we did. We created a community that we can be proud of, that people are coming from across the United States to say, I want to live in Buffalo and Erie County because of what's happening in that community. This last few years have been difficult. Between COVID, the mass shooting, a horrible snowstorm in November, and a blizzard in December that we will never forget. But we came through it as a community because we worked together to do it. I'm asking for one more term to serve as your leader of Erie County so we can continue that progress. Now is not the time to go backwards by changing the captains of our communal ship, but working together to continue moving forward so the progress that we see can be even better, and we can all benefit from it. Thank you all, and have a wonderful night.
Ooh.
And I think that applause for these two candidates. You're welcome to stay on to hear the rest of the forum, but certainly your choice. Next, it will be the two candidates for county legislature. They are
Those are some bullshit questions, guys.
and Lindsay Rigo.
Hey, what was that? Wow.
Throw it down.
Well, let's continue with our two candidates for
Out here.
county legislature coming up. Lindsay, first draw, first position, and then Seaver,
AEC.
second position.
AEC.
Lindsay.
It's a company.
How do we hire you?
It's like throwing it
How
down.
do we hire you?
Pardon me?
And
Card or something?
just as we did in the previous segment, each of these candidates will have the chance to give a 2-minute statement. Lindsay?
First of all, I just want to thank everyone for being here tonight. I want to thank the League of Women Voters for putting on this wonderful forum so that you can all learn more about us. I am a first-time candidate, so I'm going to take this opportunity to introduce myself and tell you a little bit about me. So I am Lindsay Larigo. I am running for the 10th District of the Erie County Legislature. I was born and raised in a blue-collar family. I've lived my entire life in Western New York. I went to Canisius College. I graduated in 3 years, and I studied political science, urban studies, and business. I decided to go back to Canisius to pursue my MBA, and I received that in 10 months with a focus in marketing. While I was getting my undergraduate degree, I worked at the New York State Assembly. I learned a lot about New York government. At nights, I worked maintenance to put myself through college. When I graduated from my undergrad, I went to work at the Erie County Legislature, and I really learned the ins and outs of county government and what it means to be a public servant. Today, I'm happily in the private sector. I'm the Global Digital Marketing Specialist for Dexis Dental. I'm also the Director of Marketing and Business Development for Western New York Dyslexia Specialists. I live in West Seneca with my husband and 9-year-old son. I left politics and I had no intentions of ever going back. My husband used to have this seat and hold it for 11 years. I am running today because I believe in public service. I believe that we need common sense in Erie County government. I believe that we need public servants who are more concerned about the things that affect Erie County, which are budgets, which are roads, which are parks and libraries. I think we need people who will work across the aisle, people who will represent our interests and not be there for self-promotion or national politics stands. We need people who will bring us together and not divide us. I'm running for Erie County Legislature to bring that voice of accountability and fiscal responsibility to the seat. Thank you.
Lindsay and Deb Seaver.
Let's see, is this thing working?
working? Yes, it is. Oh. Good evening, everybody. Thank you all for being here. I really appreciate it. And thank you especially to the wonderful women of the League of Women Voters. And I have to applaud them on their strong bipartisan stance, because that is the direction that I think this country should be going into. We should be getting along with each other and working for the common good. I'm Deb Sieber. I'm running for the 10th district seat of the legislature. A little bit about me. I grew up in this beautiful village of East Aurora. I went to East Aurora High School. I then went to GW University, George Washington University in DC, the City College of New York, and the University of Paris. I have 2 degrees in comparative literature and creative writing. I've done a lot of different jobs. I've done acting, I've done writing and journalism, I've been a teacher, I've worked in the restaurant business, I've lived on both sides of the pond in various different cities, and have gathered a lot of life experience. But anyway, my feeling about government is this. Government exists to serve the people it represents. The purpose of government is to enrich lives, to help, to protect, to support entities that are not moneymakers. Things like parks and libraries and senior services, senior centers, youth programs, education, healthcare, all of these things. Sometimes there is a fiscally opportunistic element to it, but most of these programs need a leg up, and that's where government comes in. I work with seniors for the towns of Aurora and Elma and the county of Erie in a program that gets people to their doctors, people who can't drive anymore, and a lot of them are on fixed incomes. That's where government comes in.
Thank you, Deb. And if you'll stay right there, I will address the first question to you.
Yes.
You touched on it. Yes.
Judy, use the mic.
Oh, I'm sure.
Hogging the mic.
And the question is, what are your greatest environmental concerns, and as an elected official, how will you try to address them?
My greatest environmental concern is climate change. We can't deny that. I mean, all we have to do is look at the forest fires in places like Canada. My daughter lives in Philadelphia, had the worst air quality in the world because of forest fires in Canada. We have floods. We had 2 catastrophic blizzards last winter that killed people. There are tornadoes. The hurricanes are shifting patterns and locations. We have to learn to do things differently. You know, inertia is very powerful. We'd all like to stay doing what we've always done, but we cannot do that. I have a daughter. Someday I'd love to have grandkids. I want them to have clean air, clean water. These are important things. Government can help. We all have to do our part, but I know the county of Erie has a lot of programs that are advancing situations that will help correct climate change. Climate smart communities, a New York State program. Erie County is part of it. It just won the Silver Award for climate smart communities. Our town of Aurora here just was awarded the Bronze Award for climate smart communities. It's ways of doing things in the individual, but also government. Parks, green spaces, ways of dealing with waterways, cleaning up pollution. And the other thing too is we all have to stop with the packaging. There's got to be some way to deal with living our lives with so much plastic and packaging on things. Bottle law, there's a bottle law pending, so government can do that.
I'm good, thank you, I appreciate you. So again, I'm running for the Erie County Legislature. I think it's important that we always remember that. There's a few issues that are facing Erie County. The biggest one, while District 10 is not a waterfront district, it's important that one of the biggest issues facing our community in Lake Erie are wind turbines. Last year, the New York State spent $1 million on a study by NYSERDA that took over a year to complete. Their conclusion was the risks are large and the costs are unknown. Lake Erie supplies drinking water for roughly 11 million people in New York State and Canada. Digging, we know that there are toxins, that's what this study revealed. Digging to put the wind turbines in the lake, we do not know the risks that will have to Lake Erie. That's our fresh drinking water. So let's talk about Erie County issues. Unfortunately, county government's role is to deliver services reliably. Our role is to make sure that you have clean drinking water. It's to make sure that we're protecting Lake Erie. Not only would those wind turbines cause problems with pollution, it would lower property values, it would cause economic problems in Lake Erie, which is a tourism source. But again, let's talk more Erie County issues because that's what I can do for you as your county legislator. It's not a sexy issue, but let's talk about culverts and dams. This district is full of them. This district goes from West Seneca down to Sardinia. One of the biggest issues that we have is proper water passage. It destroys roads, then we have to rebuild them. It destroys, natural flows of water. We need to address these issues in our community, and that's what I can do for you as your county legislator. Thank you.
There is a real need, the same question that was given to the candidates for county executive, but it was also marked that it should go to both of you. There is a real need to bring civility and even cordiality back to politics. Will you each say one nice thing about your opponent?
Thank you, Judy. Yes, of course. In listening to Lindsay, I see that she is an intelligent and poised young woman who has experience in this area and seems to have concerns. So she's my opponent, but she seems like a very pleasant person. Would you like me to reiterate on other things or civility in politics? That is a very important thing. Civility in politics. There have been races for this 10th district that have not been civil. And, that's ugly. I don't think anybody wants that in politics anymore, especially in this country. It's been terrible for the last several years. People are at each other's throats. I was canvassing in West Seneca over the weekend, and I asked people who were very supportive of me if they would put a sign in their lawn. No. After several of those experiences, I began to realize that people in that community are afraid. If you can't express your political feelings without fear of physical violence, that is not good. And I think that is the direction that too many people have taken in this country. So we do need to bring civility back.
So the question was?
There is a real need to bring civility and even cordiality back to politics. Say one nice thing about your opponent.
So the question is, say one nice thing about your opponent. I think we just got a good example of why we need civility in government. It is not easy to run for public office. It takes sacrifice. It takes up your time. You have to put yourself out there. So to Deb and every single candidate in here, either side of the aisle, it's a sacrifice to run for public office, and I appreciate that about every candidate here. I do think we need civility back in politics. I think that's why name calling is absolutely inappropriate, making false accusations. There's no place for that in government. That's why, again, I can't emphasize enough that this is running for the Erie County Legislature. I see often that, and I hear when I'm knocking on doors, national politics are being used to divide people. When we're talking about the things that impact your Erie County tax bill, impact your services, it's not one side or the other, it's about common sense and getting the job done. That's why I'm running. Thank you.
Lindsay, you partially answered this question, but perhaps you'd like to elaborate on it. What do you hope to bring to the district of the county legislature,
So I think that question could go a couple of ways. Well, my plan for running for the Erie County Legislature, my first thing is addressing taxes. Simply put, you're overtaxed and underserved. In the past 10, 12 years, our taxes have increased by about $700 million. I don't think your services reflect that. I think it's a question of priorities. We need to invest in our community and invest in our resources, but I think you should see the benefit of that. Last year alone, we had a $96.4 million surplus. The county executive wants to talk about cutting the property tax levy $1 million. When we were overtaxed $96.4 million, I think that's an insult. That being said, I also think there is a real priority. One of my number one priorities is investing in roads. Again, this district goes from West Seneca to Sardinia. West Seneca and Aurora roads look a lot different than they do in Sardinia. I don't think that politics should play a role in investing in infrastructure. If you're in a first-ring suburb, it's a lot easier to get a road fixed. If you're not, it's a lot more difficult. That's something I want to prioritize as your next county legislator. Another thing that I want to prioritize is investing in public safety. I can't emphasize enough what a diverse district this is that I'll be representing, hopefully. One of the things that is worth our investment is, it's called the 911 services. So there is a little tab on your cell phone bill that sends money to New York State that is supposed to be put into infrastructure in the counties, so that we can turn around and we can use those dollars, so that when you call 911 from your cell phone, it doesn't go down to Central Police Services, it goes to the Aurora Police Services, they can get to you faster. This New York State is not giving the counties money to invest in that, and it's affecting your safety. It's something I definitely want to prioritize as your next county legislator. Thank you.
All right, now time for final statements from the candidates. And Deb, you go first on this one. I'm sorry, what do you hope to bring from District 10 to the Erie County legislature?
What do I hope to bring to the legislature? Perhaps a fresh outlook. I am not a career politician. This has not been easy, but I think that there is a voice for those of us who are not career politicians, but who want to work for the common good, who see the government is a good entity to serve the people who live underneath it, and to be a public servant, to work for quality of life issues like parks and libraries and green spaces, to again, roads and infrastructure, as my opponent points out, very important. Safety, very important. Our councilman in Aurora worked hard to get an ambulance, 2 new ambulances in the south towns, so that people wouldn't have to wait half an hour or more in a critical situation to get health ambulance care. We now have 2 new ambulances. These are things that are important, and the other party didn't think it was necessary, but my guys in Aurora did, and we do have that with the help of the county. You know, county should be there to serve the people who live here and to enrich their lives, and you know, I agree with those things, and that's the outlook I would bring. You know, I'm a newbie, I'm not a career politician, it would be a learning process, but I believe that I have the values that will help to enrich people's lives and make our great community even greater. Thank you.
Thank you, Deb. And would you stay right here now for your 2-minute closing statement?
My 2-minute closing statement. Okay. Well, you know, I got into this race because I think that we live in very critical times. I think the number one issue, I believe, is the state of the environment. You know, history has shown us that human beings can survive just about anything. Wars, disease, famines. But if the planet is so seriously compromised that it can't sustain life, that's it. I mean, that's the end of the line. And I think that if we do not start living in a different way, making changes, that we're gonna be in real trouble. Now, I don't know about you guys, but when I came here tonight, I got into my car and I drove over here. I didn't throw a saddle on my horse and drive over here. The point of that is that we have always been able to advance and grow with the times. We live in the technological age. There's no reason to cling to outmoded ways of doing things that are damaging our planet. We need to learn to do things differently. So that's my number one concern. I know that the legislature deals with a lot of environmental issues. It'll be a learning process for me, but I think that we all need to emphasize that. There's a lot of good causes out there, but for me, that's number one. And of course, women's rights. I mean, we're half the population. Come on, you know, we still haven't ratified the ERA. Need to do something about that. So, lot of things, a lot of work to be done, but the good work has been done under Executive Poloncarz, and I know it will continue. Thank you.
Lindsay.
Again, I want to thank you all for being here tonight. I think it's a real commitment to your community that you're spending a lovely, what is it, Tuesday? I'm like lost in the campaign calendar. A lovely Tuesday night spending your time listening to candidates like myself, so I appreciate that you're here. Look, I told you a little bit about myself. Like, I can't tell you enough how I never had any intentions of getting back into politics. I don't believe that we should have career politicians. It's one of the reasons I ran. When I was first approached and asked, I said, no, for the love of God, no. And they came back to me and they said, that's why we want you to run. We need more candidates who aren't in it for themselves. We need more candidates who are in it for the right reasons, are in it for public service. They aren't in it looking to get somewhere else. Again, this is the Erie County Legislature. The reason that I'm running is because I understand I have the experience in Erie County government. I'm also a mom. I've got a 9-year-old son at home. I understand the issues that are hitting families at home. I'm a proud member of the Substance Free Coalition. It's an association with kids escaping drugs. I'm a parishioner in Nativity of Our Lord. I'm very involved in our community and the issues that affect kitchen tables in Erie County. As your county legislator, my priorities will be bringing common sense back to county government. I think it's something more people can agree on than not. I think it's really easy to get wrapped up in national politics that don't actually get addressed in the county legislature. When I've been going for weeks, I worked there before and was there for a couple years. I see what happens at those meetings on Thursday, and I think you would find that your voice is not heard, that your voice is not spoken up for. So that's what I want to bring to Erie County. No matter what side of the aisle you're on, this district represents roughly 90,000 people, again, from quite the diverse district if you look from West Seneca, Aurora, down to Concord and Sardinia. So I hope I can have your support. I'm always happy to answer any questions if you want to reach out to me online or anything like that. Again, thank you all for being here tonight, and have a great night.
And once again, welcome to stay on. Now we will have the 4 candidates for the Aurora Town Board. Patrick Hanley, Bill Reuter, Lou Wojcinski, and Ray Raisin. And I'm looking for the paper for the draw, but I'll bet, since I don't see it here, they remember the order that they were in. So will you take your seats? Ellen is the person taking care of all the details. So she will get your water for you, and you'll find yourself in correct order, of course.
Oh my God. I gotta go.
Our housekeeping taken care of. So, Luke, you were number one in the draw, so your 2-minute statement.
Good evening. Oh, sorry. Thank you. Yeah. All right, thank you everyone for coming. The word that we talk about in our campaign is proactive. And it's an important attribute for any council member to have. In order to be successful as a town, we need proactive governments. It's not just about budgeting in and taxes, that's a main part of it, but it's about responding to the needs of residents and taking one step further. What is that? Taking a look at the future and planning ahead. Over the last 4 years, that's what we've done on the town board. And if you give me the chance, that's what we're going to do the next 4 years. We've worked together to make positive changes to the town of Aurora that help preserve this special town. Not only that, we've promoted an inclusive, rural, safe, livable community for all of us. Over the past 4 years, we have proactively taken a look at our zoning, rezone residential and commercial in order to keep out big box stores and to make sure that we preserve our open spaces. We've become more open and transparent. No longer are we sending you something in the mail. Now we're texting you. Now we're calling you. Now we're emailing you. Now we're posting on social media. And if you want to see some of the silly things we say, it's all on YouTube. We have taken proactive steps to improve our environmental record and reduce greenhouse gas emissions. And yes, we were awarded with bronze status in just 1 year after taking the Climate Smart Community Pledge. We have worked to get grants for West Falls, $4.1 million, to get sidewalks on both sides of the street, to get ADA compliant curbs, to get money for a comprehensive plan to continue what we've done. This election is about how we move forward and preserving that proactive approach to town government to make sure that we preserve Aurora and keep the Aurora that we like for our children and grandchildren. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Patrick Hanley. I'm running for councilman. Forgive me, this is as nervous as I've ever been. But a little bit about myself. I've lived in East Aurora for about 15 years now, 5 kids. Some of them go to Immaculate, and we got one at Parkdale right now. I graduated in 2008 from RIT with a civil engineering degree, and have bounced around working during college. I worked at box towing, may have towed your car, may have pulled you out of a ditch, whatever. But from there, I began starting my own business. I've been working commercial and municipal construction for the last 10 years. When Lindsay talked about the bridges and the conduits and the roads, that's what I do now. That is, we work on those, we build those. That experience is what I will rely on as a town councilman in order to help facilitate tax dollars and make sure we get the best bargain for our buck. There is a lot of waste in government, and we can leave it be like it is, or we can work to reduce our costs. That is how we can make the budget work. That is how we can make sure that our town can stay on a track that is sustainable, that we can continue the programs that Luke spoke about. But without somebody that has some experience with the actual physical infrastructure, that can be hard to do without raising taxes. So it's, you know what, that's about all I got right now. So I will
Stop early.
Good evening. My name is Bill Reeder. Thank you, the League of Women Voters, for supporting this event, and certainly to the residents of East Aurora and the town of Aurora for coming out and spending some time with us to get to know us better. My entire career has been built on really two facets. That's giving back to the community and my professional work experience. As far as giving back to the community, I actually served on the town board in the mid-2000s, served for 5 years. I was deputy supervisor for 4 of those 5 years. In the late 1990s, I actually served on the school board for 3 years. The last year, I was school board president. I have volunteered being a coach for the Aurora Arsenals, baseball, basketball, Boys and Girls Club, and I have also supported various community organizations all the way back to the Roycroft restoration when the Roycroft was closed and was threatened it was going to be knocked down. And I served treasurer for the Aurora Arsenals as well, and then I just have always been involved in the community. From a professional standpoint, I have served 43 years in significant financial and management positions. Currently, I'm the Vice President of Finance and Administration and CFO at Marymount Manhattan College. I just ended a 25-year career as Vice President of Finance and Administration and a 2-time interim president at Erie Community College. Also served as a deputy controller for Alfreda Saminsky when she was controller. Ed Rakowski when he was the county executive. I was a management consultant in the budget office. What I bring to the table, I think, is my finance management and commitment to the community. I want to see East Aurora continue like it is. There's a lot of challenges. We faced a lot of challenges when I was on the town board last year, but if you listen to the residents, listen to the constituents, other than sometimes John Hughes, didn't think we listened very well, but when you listen, and if there's a vote, to have a vote on important matters. And I wish all your help and support. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm pretty much going to read my opening statement because I don't want the paddle thrown at me. See how strict she is? Yeah, how strict she is with that. First of all, I want to thank League of Women Voters for organizing this forum and allowing us to tell our story and offer our view on issues facing us here in Aurora. Second, thanks to all of you. If you're interested in what's happening with your town, you showed up here, you've asked interesting questions, and we thank you for that. I've lived and worked and played here in Aurora for over 40 years. At Fisher-Price, I started on the factory floor. While attending Buff State full-time during the day, I worked nights maintaining machinery. Living and working here has given me an opportunity to grow. Years later, I was in charge of purchasing materials and machinery. So I had an opportunity to advance through the ranks. In many of those roles, I was responsible for planning and for forecasting. What I found is how your view of your role and the job that you are going to do shapes how you act. Are you proactive? I felt our role was not just setting a plan, but going out and looking for trouble. And I'm not talking about looking for a fight or causing a ruckus. What I'm talking about is what are the potential bottlenecks that we could face in the future? And that's why I'm interviewing you here for this job. This is actually a job interview. Those experiences have prepared me to anticipate issues, be proactive, and prevent those issues from occurring. I value what we have here in Aurora and want to make sure it continues far into the future. I want to make sure it's there to preserve our past and plan for our future. Thank you very much.
So I think, if it's okay, there is a Sabres game on, so maybe if we stay seated and pass the microphone to each other, we'll go a little quicker. And it's 2-0 Buffalo, just if anyone was...
The questions about immigration continue, one is really quite specific to East Aurora. What will you do if New York State wants to send the immigrants to the seminary? Patrick, you will be first to answer that question.
If New York State would like to place immigrants at the seminary, I think our first move is to do whatever we can to stop it at the moment. Anything that the town of Aurora can do to help migrants, we need a plan, we need funding. We need to make sure that these people that come can be successful. Our school district, our town, doesn't have the resources currently to help in that matter. If we did, if we were provided with it, it would be a discussion to have at that time, but as the towns of Cheektowaga and Amherst found out, that isn't the case. Regarding the monastery, the seminary itself, that property needs, priority one for the town board should be to work to get that property back on the tax rolls. That's a large piece of property, not being taxed right now. It was years and years under the Catholic Church. They're no longer using it in that capacity, and we should use it to collect tax revenue from it because that's what should be done with the property. I'll have to pull the same card I pulled for earlier. I think I answered the question.
I would echo everything Patrick has said and only add a couple other items. I don't know that the property is even zoned to allow that type of concentration of individuals, and so we'd have to look at our town code. Is that something we fight because the town code would not allow for it? I don't know that offhand, but that would be one of the first things I'd offer we'd want to do. And I think one of the bigger issues also is transportation. They're going to be put in basically Knox Park in a field. And how are they going to get into the village? How are they going to get the services they need to succeed? I would say the plan is lacking, but I would say one of the things that I've found very successful in my career is education is a pathway. So if there's a way to integrate education with the immigrant population, asylum seekers, any individual from another country that English is their second language, education is a pathway. I was the first member of my family to go to college, and I worked many jobs to get through a community college, and got my bachelor's degree and my master's degree through working hard in education. Thank you.
First of all, the interesting thing is, as Mark Poloncarz, our county executive, pointed out, we've told New York City to stop. There is no plan currently to house immigrants at the seminary. So that's the first thing. If that did develop, if we did have a plan to bring those people to this area, we need to have funding. We need to have an active plan in order to make that happen. Bill brought up, where it is, transportation to those people, all those factors have to be taken into account before we do that. But one of the things that, for my background, when you came to our house when I was a child, it didn't matter what background you had, it didn't matter what your color was, it didn't matter what your economic circumstances were. When you came into our house, my mom welcomed you with open arms. Okay, so all of us felt very comfortable about bringing our friends, bringing our significant others, bringing other people that we knew to my parents' home. So I think we have to look at this as a community, as a home, as a social fabric before we start excluding others for plans that don't exist.
Come on, East Aurora, we're better than this. What kind of question is that? Migrants, we're wasting valuable time, and that's what happens on town boards when you bring resolutions about national issues. The scariest migrant I've seen in the town of Aurora is Yekaterina Konstantinova, who's my wife, is a migrant. I spoke Russian with my grandfather. What is wrong with us? We're a welcoming community. We have faith. We love our neighbors. Migrants coming to the town of Aurora? What kind of question is that? And guess what? If we have to be kind to our neighbors, if we have to bring in people who are going to work at Providence Farm, if we have to bring in Ukrainian families that I work with, who are drywallers and doing bridge painting, and all sorts of positive things for our society, How terrible is that? 450,000 migrants in Canada last year. Doesn't seem to be a very big issue. Let's take one time when a migrant did something terrible, right? And then we'll put that in the news because it sounds good. Let's get angry about it. We're a country of migrants. Let's get to questions about the town of Aurora, please.
I'm not sure.
How do you feel about the proposed town of Aurora's budget for 20 years? If elected, what would you suggest doing differently, if anything?
Judy, was it 20 years question?
I read it incorrectly, for 2024.
Okay, thank you. I've been attending the town board meetings and spent a lot of time reviewing the budget independently, and I would certainly agree it's a very sound budget. The proposal is under the 2% tax cap. In the face of all the cost increases that we are seeing, the inflationary costs that we're all experiencing, I think the budget is sound, fiscally supported. It has not dipped significantly into the reserves. I believe the reserves going into this year was in excess of $2 million. I believe about $200,000 is coming out of reserves. And it provides the services that the residents deserve, which I applaud the budget. So I'm fully supportive of the budget as presented.
Yeah, thanks. I am as well. I think that the reality is costs are rising all the time. And for the budget to cover all of the issues, not the issues, but all the services that we want to provide as a town is a sound plan going forward. What's more important is the fact that the town supervisor, the board members were able to work together to make that stuff happen. And you don't see that in a lot of places. So we do have unity when it comes to making sure that this place, all the issues are covered, all of the critical services are covered, and we're able to do that sticking within the 2% cap on the budget.
Thank you. Now we can talk about something a little more happy. Money. So the policy that we've had on the town board has been to work with not exceeding the tax cap. That is a sound policy that we need to continue. For the last 2 years, we have not exceeded the tax cap. At the same time, we have pressures which are around us. We all know that there's inflation. We all know that there are rising costs for a lot of the things that we're using. We also on the town budget have costs that we really don't have a role in determining. Garbage, the police budget, which is coming from the village. So it's difficult to work within that tax cut, but that is the absolute #1 principle that we need to stick with and that we have stuck with as a board. The second thing, though, is that the rising costs. And I think in this budget, what we've done is we've started to set right our employees' pay by increasing within that cap to try to get their salaries to be market level, because they're providing the services and they're important for us. They need a living wage. And we shouldn't just rely on them wanting to do good for the town of Aurora. So I think over the next 4 years if elected, we would pursue a similar policy, which is stay within the tax cap and see what room we have to provide those services, increase the wages so that we can have a competitive workforce. And the one thing I would like to add, maybe over the next 4 years, is some monies for grant writing. That really would be one to add. So, but other than that, I mean, I was a part of it, so hard to criticize. Solid budget.
I will echo the general sentiment of the budget that my colleagues, I think, would say here. What I will say is that as owning a small business and working on municipal contracts, inflation is coming. It's going to hurt more and more. There are labor contracts out there. There are capital purchases out there that this town has to pursue and spend money on, and those things are coming. And even as inflation slows down, we're going to find that the inflation that has already happened is going to start hitting our bottom line very hard. One thing that my experience will help me do is to procure things properly. I have seen good government and bad government in the procurement practices that they have. I have seen roads go for twice as much money as they should go because they weren't designed properly, weren't procured properly, they weren't advertised properly. That is something that I can bring to the table to help keep costs down. The way that you procure something and advertise for it will dictate what the prices come in at. So that I believe that is the best way that it could help this town. And also for the design phase of these things. We hire out engineers, we bring them in, and they design a road or a building or a project in a manner that they see fit. Sometimes they don't realize the costs that they are putting on the project. As an example, it's not a town board thing, but our fire hall got built. One of the specifications in the fire hall was that the construction manager would have to have a brand new copy machine, brand new office trailer, brand new everything in the trailer, because that's what they wanted to see in it. Things like that I wouldn't allow. I would see that, I would notice that. Right now it's more of a county issue, but Maple Road, right? We all gone down that. It's been awfully bumpy. That's how right now it's in design phase to get rebuilt. But it came a year too late, and you see our county right now having to repave it for just a 1 year of service. That's the sort of thing that I can help stop in Aurora, and not to say that it's exactly happening, but it is something that I can prevent and help lead on.
What changes?
Oh, yeah.
Trying to help you out.
Thank you. What changes or updates to the town zoning code do you think are needed? And Ray starts out.
Thank you. I think changes to the town zoning code are Band-Aids. What we really need to do is to develop a comprehensive plan for the town of Aurora. That way we can plan our way through this, set goals, get input from the community, set goals, see what we have in the community. So do a gap analysis between what we have and where we want to go, and then as a community, solicit input from stakeholders, from citizens, from other members in our government to ensure the fact that we have a plan going forward. All right? And then that way, because currently with us in our zoning code, if we deny someone, we're liable and we have an obligation to try and match that to what our comprehensive plan. And right now we don't have that. So that's really the critical issue, not changing the zoning code and offering Band-Aids of relief.
Thanks, Ray. I would agree that the comprehensive plan is an important component that we don't have currently in the town of Aurora that we need to implement. That being said, thanks to the county executive, we have received funding to be able to do that, and that is an important project that we're going to be pursuing over the next 4 years. However, I think we should use the opportunity to think about what are some of the things that are going to be in that comprehensive plan related to zoning. Albert Einstein once said, we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. We need to move from a Euclidean model of zoning, which prevents the bad, but does not encourage the good, to a more form-based zoning, where we're not only concentrating on use and density, but we're also thinking about form. Now, I know that that's something that New York State is encouraging, and it's a little bit scary because we're used to our Sim City where we knock down the buildings, put up the blue, and then a commercial district is developed. But it doesn't actually work like that. And so there are tools that we have that are not in our current toolbook. And to be fair, not really any municipalities around the area, but some of the villages have started to implement it, where we can use that form-based zoning to take a more proactive approach to encourage the good. You know, the town is always going to be changing. You know, we love it the way it is. That's why we live here. And it takes work to keep Aurora the way that it is. And that work is setting the rules by which we continue to develop or not develop or smart growth, however you want to put it. And we have the opportunity to get ahead of all those issues. It's about being proactive. And form-based zoning is one of the ways that I think we can do it in town of Aurora for the next 50 years. Thank you.
One of my first ways into the political environment was dealing with the preservation laws in the village of East Aurora. And one of the items that I noticed in my research in that was that general best practices, as listed by the Federal Preservation Board, was that citizen income, resident opinion was not necessarily paramount to preservation districts. That to me struck me as kind of strange. I think that the most important thing that you can have in zoning and things such as preservation is the community input. So with the zoning, we need to have the community input. The vehicle for that will be the comprehensive plan that we will be undertaking. Regarding the comprehensive plan, I think besides bringing in what citizens think and what the taxpayers think, my experience as an engineer, I think would bode well for that. I think that we will need to hire an engineering firm that will help guide us through that process, and being able to work with that and have an understanding how that will work will help the town. As far as specific changes to the zoning, I don't think that at this time that there's anything that we could do that the town or the village need to change right now. I think it works very well, and our variance board does their job very well and presents the town board with the information that they need when they need to go through things such as zoning changes.
I guess I've been around the block a few times. I should remind everyone, the town board back in the mid-2000s did embark on a comprehensive plan. It wasn't a myopic master comprehensive plan just of the town of Aurora. It included the village of Aurora. It included the communities that surround the town of Aurora. That plan was never formally adopted. I recently reviewed that document, and I would say probably about 95% or more what's in that plan stands still today. They talked about commercial development along Olean Road probably being the only area in the town that would allow any kind of commercial development. Again, there's a plan there. Why recreate something? Why don't you just look at the plan that we have back from 2004 and pick out the pieces that work for this community? And so I'm not a proponent of wasting money, whether even if it's a grant from the state or county government. Take what we have and massage it and get the community input and buy-in to support that plan. Thank you.
Interestingly enough, the next question that I have has been touched on it already, but perhaps you will each have a comment or answer for this question. Does the town need a comprehensive plan? Why or why not?
Well, I'm a fan of that question after hearing the answers. So, comprehensive plan is something that is necessary by the state, right? We have not enacted it, but that doesn't mean that we don't refer to it on the town of Aurora board. But the fact that it hasn't been enacted really makes it difficult for the town board to make decisions. Because any zone that does not comply with the comprehensive plan is spot zoning, and it can be challenged. And so when we have a decision to make as a town board, for example, I don't know, a golf event center coming up on Olean Road in a residential district, and our comprehensive plan says, I don't know, off the top of my head, that should be a commercial development district, that means that our zones do not comply with the comprehensive plan. Right? They can be challenged, and the cost that you would spend on the comprehensive plan, which we receive from the county, you're going to be multiplying that by 10 or 20 to pay for fees for people like me, attorneys. Sorry, I didn't want to admit that. I said I wouldn't admit that here, but so the comprehensive plan also gives us an opportunity as a community to take a step back and say, how do we want the town to develop? And that is an important part. That's the most important part of this. It's not just saying we drew it up and someone come in and monkey around a little bit. That's not the way it should work. We should have real input from the residents about how they want it. And if it comes out being the comprehensive plan that we had back in 2004, that's what the residents want, that's okay. Because then we have what we need when there's a zoning decision to be made, which is the community spoke, it wants this area to be commercial, it wants that area to be residential, and we as a town board have someone behind us, the comprehensive plan, something where we can use to make that decision. It's a very important part for any municipality. Thank you.
I think I can agree with everything Luke said, so we'll take that for something. But from my perspective, we need a plan for everything. We need a plan for a comprehensive plan for zoning, for how the town's going to move forward. We need a plan for snow. We need a plan for emergencies. We need a plan for everything. What my perspective is that when we develop this plan, we should watch how much it costs. I've been board meetings, excuse me. I've been board meetings and they've been talking about this plan at the town board, and it's going to cost money. It's going to take time. Making sure that we're not wasting tax dollars, like Bill said, and making sure we spend it wisely is something that we need to concern ourselves with this. So the plan should be redone, should be thought about, should be brought to the taxpayers, but making sure that it's not something that becomes a burden to the taxpayers without actually getting the value out of it is something that we need to avoid.
The only thing I would add, and I sort of mentioned it before, I don't want it to be a myopic plan. It's not the town of Aurora by ourselves. We're part of Western New York. We're part of Wales and West Falls and the hamlets in the town and the village of East Aurora. So I just want to make sure we properly address the bigger and not just the town of Aurora, because what happens in a neighboring community impacts us in the town of Aurora and vice versa. Thanks.
I'm an alternate on the Zoning Board of Appeals. We talk to people about their variances, and we also talk amongst each other. And one of the things that's brought up over and over again, and God bless them in Amherst and Lancaster, is that we don't want to be like that. Okay? Last Saturday, mid-afternoon, I had to drive to Wegmans, and it was incredibly difficult. All right, I ended up turning around, abandoning my mission, much to my wife's chagrin, and coming back to East Aurora and shopping at our Tops. So this is a roadmap for what this town is going to look like, not just today, not just 10 years from now, but far into the future. All right? My kids 2 years ago wanted to buy a house here in the town. They couldn't find one. They were entry-level buyers, and they couldn't find one. I've talked to people that are retired. They lived in this town for all their lives. They want to stay here. They just don't want to deal with a 2,500 square foot home. Part of the comprehensive plan has to allow for those types of things which we really don't do very well in this town. So there is a lot of room to examine what we want as a community and make sure that that master plan, that comprehensive plan, matches up to that.
What is your view on a conservation board? And does Aurora have one? Do we need one? We start with Patrick.
I'll lay all my cards on the table right now. Luke, do we have a conservation board?
That's a very complicated question to ask.
Well, there's one other person who doesn't know.
Can somebody enlighten me in this thing? Do we have
Conservation board?
Tim? We have a plan. Yes, we have a planning and conservation board. Okay. So I know that as the planning board, but we do, and I think that comes along the lines of the comprehensive plan and their zoning, and we should have some people looking out for that. I had my run-ins in the village with the Historic Preservation Board, but they do good work. They do valuable work. We have the tree board in the town, or next to me in the village, but that can be hard and difficult sometimes to deal with for a developer, but they do good work. They do important work. There should be, for every push one direction, there should be somebody pushing the other direction saying, we should look at this. We should have a different eye, come from a different place. So yes, we should have a conservation board. We should, as part of the planning board, we should maintain that, and we should appreciate its work, no matter how much of a pain it can be, but it is necessary and it's something that we should continue.
I'm glad Patrick owned up to not knowing the answer. So Yes, I fully support the planning and conservation board that the town of Aurora has. That being said, when I was on the board last time, we actually got to the voters an open space bond referendum. Unfortunately, it failed. It was a $2.5 million bond referendum to try to keep more green space forever wild in the town of Aurora, which I fully support. I've lived many years in the village. I recently moved to the town of Aurora. 18 acres. I raise bees, I have chickens, and every day I can't believe where I am and how proud I am to be part of this community. And I want to work very hard to preserving what we have here. And this is a very special place. We all say it, unique, special, great community, great place to raise our families, but we all live it, walk it, and breathe it. So anything I can do to support more conservation, more preservation, you have my 100% commitment to doing that.
Well, that was an interesting question, because at least one other person didn't know what the town had as far as a conservation board. And I think that brings up another issue, if I can deviate, in the fact that we currently have the town board meetings. They're on Zoom, we record them. They're easily accessible to anybody. You can see what goes on. There are other boards, zoning board, planning board / conservation board, and I fully support their work. Like I said before, I'm an alternate on the zoning board of appeals, and perhaps what we need to do is get information out to the citizens about what each of these groups do and how they do it and the functions that they perform, because they do great work. In providing for advice to the town board and fostering in this community the things that, all of us agree are wonderful and we want to preserve.
I mean, if someone's asking that question, they should be up here and not up there. So a conservation board is something that is found in the New York State Town Code. In order to make a conservation board, first there has to be an open space inventory, I believe, that is done within the town. And then the job of the conservation board is to look at potential projects, construction, development, and compare it to the open space inventory and make sure that our open space inventory is being preserved. That's what a conservation board is. We had one that was appointed in the 1970s, I think. The open space inventory is basically the entire map of the town of Aurora, and the planning board was given the task of being the conservation board. Unfortunately, the planning board has not been doing the functions of the conservation board, which are stipulated in the town law, which is to compare it to an open space inventory. And to be fair, it's very difficult to do that when we don't have an open space inventory. So I think the Conservation Board, there's a reason why it was in town law. It has a great function, and one that we all agree, I think, that is necessary for the town of Aurora, because that's one of the aspects that makes our town special, is that we preserve that open space. So I do think that we need to go back to the drawing board, look as a part of the comprehensive plan, perhaps do an open space inventory, and then if we do so, reappoint probably the planning board as the conservation board, just because we want to reduce bureaucracy as well. We don't want every time you have to have a new project to go to 2 different boards on 2 different days. An important function to be taken care of, and one that we probably should be looking into as a town.
Last question. Some candidates talk about an open and transparent town government. Do you agree that it is necessary, and what does that mean to you? We start with Bill.
Transparency in government is paramount to the residents having confidence and trust in their elected leaders, and I am certainly a strong believer in that transparency. I applaud the current town board. When I was on the town board, we only had one opportunity per meeting for community members to speak before the board about any issue that is top of mind for them, and now your town board and supervisor has 2 opportunities. They have their work session in public view. They debate, discuss issues. There's no hidden agenda. So I think transparency is the basis for good government. And all residents elect the people to serve for them, and we work for you. You don't work for us, we work for you. So if there's ever any question, any opportunity to come to the town board and voice your concerns, the town board will listen to you.
Yeah, I totally agree, Bill. Transparency is the most important thing when it comes to governance. And you have the opportunity. Here, for example, all of you are interested in who these candidates are, from county executive to your 10th legislative district to the town board. And I think we all agree that that transparency is good because it offers an opportunity for the average citizen to get their input and be heard. I guess I kind of jumped ahead with the last question in my response, but there is the opportunity for every citizen to watch what goes on at the town board meetings through Zoom. You can even participate. All right, if you have questions, you can also participate. And then if you can't attend that meeting or you can't watch it online, you have the opportunity to look at it on YouTube. So these are opportunities that have changed in this town that you don't see in a lot of other municipalities. So we forged ahead, we've given people the opportunity to give their opinions both in person and online, and that's a great thing to do.
I want to take us back 4 years. I'm going to bring Deputy Supervisor Snyder in and Supervisor Bach. And I want you to imagine what the conversation was when I had to tell them, I think we should Zoom our meetings. And they looked at me like I was an alien coming down from space. COVID hit, and Zooming became a word that we all know now. Look, we've done a lot in order to try to be a more open and transparent government. Doesn't mean that we can't keep trying or should keep trying to do better. But we have a social media policy. We have a Town of Aurora Facebook and Instagram page. We have Code Red, which we use to broadcast by text, by email, by telephone, any way that anyone wants to receive their information when we have a public hearing. We're taking an active role in trying to reach residents, because the last thing we want to hear is, oh, I didn't know about that. That's the last thing we want to hear. So as a town, we've taken that proactive role. The minutes are online on Friday. Thankfully to Town Clerk Leibrook, who may yell at me when I want to add something late, but she's right. Should be up there by Friday, no later than Friday. So the Zooming of the meetings, we had people from the state who were able to come in and dial in and talk to us. And then, of course, they're all available on YouTube since we started doing this for 3 years plus. We need to continue that, we really do. So as we look for more ways to become open and transparent, that is a goal that we should always have. But I do think that we've come a really long way in the last 4 years, and as a municipality, I'm proud of how open and transparent we are.
I've been attending town board meetings for the last couple of months and getting it out and be able to see how the town board operates. It really is something to see the way that the town board does their planning sessions and then proceeds to their meeting. It's wonderful to see. I grew up hearing about the 3 men in a room, and we all know how that ends up. But for the town to be able to see and participate both in the town board meeting and at several of the meetings I've seen in the planning sessions or in the work sessions, it's a great way to do things. The Zoom meetings and being online, that helps for people that travel and can't be at the meeting at the specific time they want. One thing in my experience of putting myself in front of boards is you end up with if an issue, and only people that are actually privy to the issue, maybe to the notices that for a variance and they're in their local area, they're the only ones that get notified. But when we put the meetings on Facebook, on Zoom, and such like that, we are able to make sure that other people throughout the town are privy to these and to the meetings and the issue at hand. And even though they're not in the exact neighborhood, they're still able to comment and participate. And being able to participate in the beginning of the meeting and bring your issue to the board, such as traffic concerns or such as that, and then allowing the board to digest that and then being able to address it again at the end of the meeting is a great way to do things.
It was a great idea, you had for us not to get up, wasn't it?
Thank you, Luke. Okay, now, for your closing statements, 2-minute each, and we'll do it in reverse order, starting with Ray.
Well, I wasn't very successful in staying under 2 minutes last time. I read and talk much quicker this time. I grew up in Howland and I moved to Aurora after I finished college, to be close to my job at Fisher-Price. It was part of a 5-year plan, and it certainly did not project me to be sitting here today. Along the way, I grew in my job, in my volunteer work, and as a person. I got married, raised 2 amazing kids, with my wife, of course, and enjoyed the journey along the way. Along the way, I kind of like Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. I realized that there is no place like home. This is home. This is home for me. This is home for my family. This is home for all of you. You have our pledge that we will be proactive approach. We'll anticipate and prevent issues rather than reacting to them. We have a rich and amazing past that is worth preserving, and we will do our best to plan for the future and ensure that this progress continues. Thank you very much for your time.
I've been in this community for 30 years. I did leave and went to Orchard Park for a couple of years when I got remarried. I actually served on the village board in Orchard Park. I guess I have a calling for public service, but I always knew I'd come back, and I did almost 3 years ago. I raised my kids here. I have now 3 additional daughters through remarriage, and one just flew in from LA this morning, and she loves it here. And I'm hoping she comes back because of the love for this community. I've worked with town, village, state, county government. I was a frequent presenter at the Erie County Legislature. I have the ability to work with both sides of the aisle, whether it's Democrat, Republican, in order to get projects done and get work done. My experience on the town board, I was part of the town board, not me individually, but part of a group of people that brought Majors Park to fruition. It wasn't a park, and we got it done through the recreation department and Peggy Cook's leadership at the time. I mentioned the open space bond resolution that we brought forward to the voters, and the voters decided not to support it, but I still believed in it and still wanted it passed. We brought water to the southern part of this town. Water was a big issue, and we were able to bring a water district to the southern part of the town. We initiated joint meetings. At the time when I started, we had a fractured relationship with the village, and we shouldn't have a fractured relationship with the village. So not only did we have joint meetings with the village, but also the school district. And on that school district, when I joined the board, we were in the throes of a very contentious labor agreement with the teachers. We were able to settle that agreement. My first day as school board president, the superintendent resigned, and we spent a year finding the next superintendent. That was Howard Smith. I was part of the construction of the high school and full-day kindergarten. Thank you. Sorry about that.
First off, I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for this opportunity. It's not the most natural thing for me to sit here, but I really appreciate the opportunity. Secondly, I'd like to just say how proud I am to have my name alongside Lindsay and Chuck and Bill, and even our opponents here, Ray, and what's your name? It's Luke, but I only said that because I just wanted to correct the record, because I don't think, that's Ray Rosen over there, it's not Ray Reason. But I'm very proud to live in Aurora, town of Aurora. I have 5 kids. They're working our way through Immaculate and East Aurora schools. I want to see this place be the best that it can be for them, so that hopefully down the road they can live here. The affordability of that, the actual ability for the town to still be a desirable place in 20 years, that's what the job is of the town board. And I hope that I can help do that, and I hope that we can be successful doing that. I'd really appreciate your vote. I hope that perhaps I've endeared myself to you a little bit, but whether I have or haven't, I hope that I've demonstrated that I will do the best I can for this town. I will work hard, and I don't know, that's about all I got. So, I'm sorry about that, but here's
You have endeared yourself to me, actually. Yeah. Look, I'm so grateful for the opportunity to serve the town for 4 years. I really am. And I thank you to everybody here for coming up. Running is not easy, and I hate to tell you guys what you know, Bill, but being in office is even more difficult. And so thanks to Chuck, thanks to Jim, thanks to Joe, thanks to everybody who is working in a part of this. For me, what was really special, at the end of the day, we need to provide services, we need to get things done. And we like to be angry about lots of things, but we identified that our ambulance services were not adequate. This is a matter of life and death. 30 minutes, 40 minutes for ambulance services to come out. And we have paramedics and EMTs and our volunteer fire companies who are working way too hard. We work with the county executive to get a program where ambulances back up the primary services. And it was announced in Colden, in the town that I grew up in. Yes, I'm a migrant from the southern border. It was announced in Colden where my parents lived. And to think that I was able to make that impact over 4 years was really powerful. I've got a lot left in the tank. I want to ask for your vote again. I would love to give to the town what I've given over the last 4 years. The last thing I'll say is we talk about preserving our past and planning our progress. And that's a little bit difficult because there are two different understandings. But take a look at the Roycroft. It's an old building, but it takes work to preserve it. And just because we're doing more modern art in there doesn't mean that we're doing the wrong thing, that they're doing the wrong thing in the Roycroft. That's what we need to think about as a town. We need to preserve our past, but also plan our progress. Thank you very much. I hope I can get your vote, and thanks to everybody here in the League of Women Voters. And don't touch that red button. Don't touch the red button. Oh, okay, there we go. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
All the candidates, all the groups of candidates, and particularly to you, the audience. Again, the usual engaged, thinking audience. The League of Women Voters is also noted for another project, getting comments from all of the candidates for office throughout the area. And it will be online this year, and you can access it at vote411.org. There will be information about the general election. Thank you again for being here.
Well, that's it, guys. It looks like that was the debate. The beginning was a little bit better. I tried talking to Mark before he left. He ran out faster than you can imagine. I'll see you guys later. That was the long debate. Some of it was boringer than others. I think the questions for the county exec were pretty bogus, but see you guys in the comment section.